Okay, hi everybody, this is my first video. What I'm going to do today is do a walkthrough of the wartimeclassics.com website. Right now I'm on the home page and have just the top part of it viewable. So the background consists of 11 different roundels from 11 different air forces of the Second World War. It's a 110 picture slideshow, so then each roundel is in each position with the other roundels. So the subtitle is Combat Aircraft and Pilots from the Second World War. And then we've got some tabs here. We'll get to most of these later. So the description here essentially covers the importance of aviation during the war and just background for the website itself. I have two collages down here. The first one has aircraft. That is the British Avro Lancaster in the service of the Royal Canadian Air Force. The second one is the Focke-Wulf FW-190 of the German Air Force. The third one, also of the Germans, is the Junkers Ju-87. The fourth one is the Yakovlev Yak-1B. Then I have the second collage, which contains aviators. This one has Douglas Robert Stewart Bader, Hans Martzila, and Richard Bong. We're next going to cover the image citations. Most of all of the main pages will have a citations page that will be linked to it, but not particularly directly on the page, so then it'll be easier to go to it and not have to be distracted by those citations if you don't really want to see it. So the top part is the background photographs, so that's the roundels in the back. And the second part right here is the aircraft images. So that's the ones that I was just going through in the collages. I just need to cover the aviators, which that should be done relatively soon. So the first main section we're going to cover is that of the informationals. The basic outline of this is to have two main portions. This will be broken up into several different pages, so then it's not really too long and it doesn't consist of scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. You can just read parts of it at a time, and it's not intimidating trying to read this massive article. So the development and variant history covers just the variants and then any changes that were made and what the impact of that was, historically speaking. The combat record is much more explicitly related to the combat in which the aircraft was used, so where it was used, who used it, and etc. I currently have portions of 3 articles complete. Those are the Supermarine Spitfire, Focke-Wulf FW-190, and Messerschmitt Bf-109. The one that I'm working on now is that of the Polikarpov I-16 of the Russian VVS. We're first going to go through the Spitfire one. I'm just going to go through to show the structure of it, just to give it a basic idea. So it's broken up into several sections. Right now there's 3. Then there are the actual informational parts of it. Then there's performance of the aircraft. And then the next variant, and so forth. And then there's also variants, like sub-variants of it when those are required. And then here I have the PR variants separately since there's so many of them. And then it's quick, easy, flowing through to get to the next section. Currently it of course only goes up to the Mark 9, but that'll be changed later. The next one we're going to is the impact papers. This one has 5 sections that I'll be analyzing. The first one is service production, which covers how many of them were built, where did they serve, how well did they serve, generally speaking. The second one is roles versatility. This one covers more how many roles did the aircraft take, and how well did it serve in those roles, specifically. The third category is characteristics. This is more as simple as wing structure, landing gear type, or anything of that nature. The fourth one is armament. This one covers the spread, caliber, and quantity of the weapons, and the impact of that. The fifth and final section is performance technical information. This one covers anything such as range, maximum and cruise speeds, weights, dimensions, all of that. So I'll quickly go through. These are just the definitions. I mean, here's the basic structure, and here's how you can just go through it. Again, it's really quick and not too intimidating because they're relatively short sections. So the next section we're going to go to is the two-fighter standard. So this I've thought of for quite a while now. I even wrote a paper, which we'll get to that here in a short bit. But here's the definition of it. Each Air Force requires at least 2 aircraft of differing qualities, so then they can be relatively successful. I have a few examples here just to provide an idea of what this means. The North American P-51 and Republic P-47 of the US AAF. The Luftwaffe's Messerschmitt Bf-109 and Focke-Wulf FW-190. The RAF's Supermarine Spitfire and Hawker Hurricane, as well as the Spitfire and the Hawker Tempest. So the paper I was just talking about is here. It's the lethal pair, Bf-109 and FW-190. This one I wrote back during July and August of 2016, and it essentially uses the two-fighter standard as the basis, as the foundation for analyzing how they were important during the war. The next section we're going to cover is the aviators. So this one or aces of aces, if you want to call it that. So this section has 6 different categories to determine an ace of aces. The first one is skill. This is essentially just the tactical ability of the pilot in combat. The second one is bravery. This one is more of how willing is the pilot to go and, I guess, engage in dangerous situations for his comrades, for his country. Determination is somewhat similar, but this one is more of how willing is the pilot to go out and fly and fight, or actually try to get to a position where he can fly and fight, especially in the case of where he's in a position where it's virtually impossible. Respectability is based on how well the pilot treats his comrades and his enemies. Knowledge is more of how they can develop tactics and apply them in some way. Leadership covers just how well the pilot works with his comrades. So the one that I'm working on right now is on Werner Boulders, which I'll actually go back right now because the impact papers I just realized. Okay, so the impact paper I'm just working on now, I'm just outlining it. This will take most likely 2 to 3 months to actually finish it, but I'm on the Messerschmitt Bf-109 to start with. Then the last thing that we have is the external links section. This one is just a list of different websites that I've used myself. Most of these are really updated quite frequently. The only one I'm concerned about is www.warbirds.net. This one was last updated in 2002, I believe, 2003 maybe, but I think it's still relatively accurate. And then the additional resources section just has a list of different books. Horito, I'm only up to the 300 club, but I have read enough to actually be able to use this as a source in a few areas at least. And then the rest are encyclopedias. Except the Great Book of World War II Airplanes, which has 12 different aircraft and very detailed articles on them. Okay, thanks for watching.